Pre-show. Actually, maybe I should do it. Stream starting soon. I should probably change this color. Oh, let's do that for now. Oh, I need to. What's up, Pancake? How's it going? Actually, oops. I'll put it right here. Pancake, did you like the game yesterday? I'm assuming you watched it. Yeah, it was a banger. It was a good one. Team looked good. Made a few weird mistakes at the end, but I'd rather us make mistakes pushing too hard than not doing anything. That's what our Immortals game should have looked like, you know? Should I change it like this? Maybe like that. Yeah, I listened to a lot of the comms in game, and they need some work. Yeah, yeah. It reminds me of the back. I think it was CLG. Oh, I don't have desktop audio on. There we go. There's music. I think it was CLG that was talking about how they're like trying to make. Oh no, sorry. There was an argument, and I think it involved Walden, the coach of CLG, where they're talking about like how good their early game is, but then they keep losing late game. And that was CLG for sure. And then people are like, if you can't, there's an argument on if you can't have a good early game, you can never close out games, or you should be focusing on mid to late game, because it doesn't matter if your early game is perfect if you can't close out games. Thought that was interesting. I don't think these are all the. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, maybe we'll just focus on those. These guys. Yeah. But then it's funny because you hear all these the analysts are talking about how to beat Cloud9, and they're always like, well, you can see that the best chance is to beat them early game and then snowball that lead because Cloud9 doesn't have the strongest early game. That's like their only weakness that they show in their games, right? But it doesn't matter, it's Cloud9. They know how to win when they're behind. They know how to team fight better than other teams. And they got the talent to just outplay the advantages that other people have on them. Top 4? You don't think they'll be top 1? Actually, I have no idea. I have not watched EU. I haven't watched LEC in... Well, how long? I haven't watched LEC in... At least followed LEC in a while. Hell no. Don't shatter my world's dreams for NA. You're right, you're right. Golden Guardians obviously would be top 1 by Worlds time. True. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. I should add chat on here, by the way. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should. I don't know. I don't know how to do it. Chat box. Bam. It will be hard, but if chat box actually works. Testing. Hey. Oh, it works. That's cool. Doesn't get... I'm trying to do all my YouTube content on Twitch if I can. Well, maybe not all of it, but some of it. I think some of it would make sense. It'd be easier. Also, if I'm thinking about monetization in the future, I feel like it's so much easier to monetize on Twitch if I have an audience versus YouTube. But Twitch's discoverability sucks, while YouTube's is better. Yeah, but I mean, also like, I guess if we're just trying to see how far NA gets in Worlds, yeah, it's gonna suck if there's better people. This is not CC's. CC's I did in a different video. This one is Christie's. CC's was in this one. Bam. I liked her resume. It was nice and clean. Oops. That wasn't the censored version. Yeah, I did hers a while ago. Oh, hold on. I need to open a window. Yeah, no, CC had a good resume. I think she had some cleaning up to do. A little bit of formatting, a little bit of grammar or punctuation, those kind of things. Flesh out some of the bullet points. What I've been noticing is that people just put like a checklist of all the responsibilities that they had rather than like the effect that they had, right? If someone says like, hey, I edited videos, like that's cool, I'm looking for a video editor. But if someone's like, oh, I edited videos that got this much engagement, it's like, oh, well, that's something a lot more interesting than the person that just said they just did video edits. If they said like, oh, they edited YouTube videos to grow a following from 15 subscribers to 100 subscribers, that's different. There's a lot more weight and like whatever other biases or thoughts that I have, like, oh, so this person knows how to do thumbnails, this person knows how to do YouTube analytics or SEO, like that starts adding a little more thought and Just when you compare to people that just put bullet points and to-dos or responsibility, lists responsibilities on the resume, it makes a huge difference. All right. Guess I should get this started. I don't have much time before LCS starts. LCS starts at 12, right? I mean, it might be starting now with the pre-show and everything. Oh no, it starts at 1. Our game's first. Oh, I thought it started at 12. At least, I thought it started in 30 minutes, but I got an hour and a half. But I also gotta eat lunch. All right, turn off the music. You could send it in. Actually, you know what? That might be interesting. Maybe you should try sending it in a different language, because I'm. What I want to do with these resumes is actually try doing something where it's like the first impressions, like quickly where my eye goes to. So if it's in a different language that I can't understand, that might be really interesting to see like how someone would look at the resume without like just by design. That might be interesting. I want to make my a little smaller. Get out of the way of the resume. This can turn off. That box can overlap a little bit. Not too concerned about that. Or I can just. Or I could put it over my webcam. Oh, I need maybe I want to make a little bit of background cover. It will not show on your screen. Oh. Oh well, whatever. This is more so for testing and figuring things out. Yeah, go for it. All right. All right, so we got another resume review from Christy, and we're live on Twitch today, so we'll see how that goes. I got Pancake in the chat, so you'll get a shout out on the YouTube video once this goes out. And you'll see his chat come in too. So if you guys want to put in input while you're watching, go ahead. Christy sent me a resume cover letter, and what I'm gonna do this time is I'm gonna kind of go over the that an arrow emote. I'm gonna go over my first impressions first. I just want to like look at this and then dive deeper into this. So first thing I noticed is like I really like the layout. It's really clean to see. There's some white space. The header is really clean. You left a lot of white space there. Picture, name, contact info. There's an executive summary, which is really nice because I could just like read this right now. That's what I would actually read first. Management-oriented, self-motivated, passionate, and caring brand ambassador with extensive experience in working under pressure, player management, and attention to detail. An art student with a love for games and a drive to bring people together one mini game at a time. So like right now, I think this is like really well crafted. It makes me really interested. I know exactly who you are, what you're trying to do. Or I know exactly what you're trying to do. You're a brand ambassador. You say that up here. And then if I'm thinking about the job posting that I put out, and if I think about like, hey, I was looking for a high pressure environment, someone that has player management experience, someone that's very organized and like can meet deadlines, or something that involves attention to detail, I'm ready like, oh, this person like meets that. You told me that, and I asked for that, so that's really cool. An art student with a love for games and a drive to bring people together one mini game at a time. Like that's just like a really cute, nice, like fun, geeky, very like esports gaming culture like sentence. So that just gives me more personality about you, and you're not just like a robot. So that's really cool. First thing that actually caught my eye, or one of the first things that caught my eye, is this weird formatting thing. I think these are different font sizes, and then this is not aligned correctly. I could see reasons for doing that, because I think this is like the main point and these are all smaller points underneath it, but something is weird about that. So I would kind of fix that formatting, because it just bothers me a little bit. To me, it might be a lack of attention to detail, but I think this is also like aligned intentionally to be underneath it. So I'd really think about this formatting, how it looks. I also what stands out to me are these general skills and soft skills first, because they look really, really nice in these boxes. They almost remind me of like the LinkedIn and endorsement stuff. But I'm also curious if this is the right decision, because my eye gets drawn to these general skills and soft skills before any other year stuff. This is also bigger font than this stuff. So this makes me feel like this is more important information, which it's not. Your work experience is probably more important. What else? So I see work experience, volunteer experience, education. And I like that it's one page. So right now I'm like actually like very interested and willing to read through this. I like how this is all organized. Yeah, this to me this just says like you have a good attention to detail, that you are aware of like how to make things look good. Like I like the colors, they're very appealing. It's not overbearing. And again, I think there is decent information, like prioritization, but I think it could be done better, because I think your work experience, like this stuff, it's a smaller font and it's actually more like this is the most important stuff here. Which what I would say is make this bigger and then make the at least this stuff smaller and your education smaller. If you can figure out how to like puzzle that together. All right, let's dive a little deeper. Oh shoot, I should have grabbed water. Sorry about that. I just had my coffee, so that just like dehydrates a little bit and like makes my throat a little funny. Oh well. Game development department, event management, team manager, president. Cool. I'm interested about that. Looks like we ran multiple live stream tournaments with 70 participants each. So that's cool. Right here, you're already telling me like what you've done and how big of an impact that was, right? 70 people is nothing to bat an eye at. That's a lot of people. Floor manage players and teams accordingly in a time limit. So this is, you have to make sure your tenses are consistent. This is like a really small thing. It's probably not that important, but I don't know. Maybe people that are reading resumes, especially if they're older or more come from a more professional environment, you do ran, managed, communicated, established, recruited, found, scheduled, communicated. But because this is in the present, they should all be the same tense. This one's a little weird because this was something that happened in the past. Maybe it's okay. I gotta think about that one. Okay, scratch that. That's probably not that important. Floor manage players and teams accordingly in a timely manner. Communicate with live production team to ensure tournament falls in line with the stream. I think this one could be, I think I get what's going on. It's a little confusing. Maybe this could be worded better. Like that falls in line is, I think that's the issue. Like maybe that it's like, I get what you're trying to say. You're trying to make sure that everything is in line. Everyone knows what the next step is, that everyone's on time, those kind of things. Maybe it like matches schedule, or they're, yeah, that one's a little different. A little funky, I would say. That needs a little bit of wordsmithing. Establish brackets with players signed up to ensure a fair, balanced tournament. Cool. Recruit players for a variety of games the school wants to have teams for, including the stream team. That's interesting. Find and schedule weekly streams of fish coaching and staff and player times. Communicate with neighboring schools to host team bonding activities. President, communicate between partner program sponsors and other clubs. In club relationships with others. I want this one to feel a little more important. To communicate between partner program sponsors and other clubs. I want to know the impact of that on what you did. right? If it was like coordinate meetings to discuss sponsorship activations and budgeting between partner program sponsors and other clubs, those kind of things. And I know that can be pretty broad because you included 3 different parties, partner program sponsors and other clubs. But as a brand ambassador, if that's what you're looking for, I think that's a really, really loaded bullet point that needs to be fleshed out a little bit more to really show like the impact you created. I'd also think like depending on what is more important and what specific job you're applying for, I would switch these orders around because I think as a brand ambassador, maybe this president part is the most important thing. So that should go first. And this event management might go last, or even team manager might go last. But then you also want to make sure like this president stuff is has more bullet points, because then it's like it's not the top, but it looks like you did less as a president and more as an event manager, right? So think about information priority. I would also do like what I've done is I had a Google Doc where it just talked about all my experiences, and then that has like each experience has like 10 or 12 different bullet points, and I kind of pull from that, and depending on what I need to cater my specific resume towards a specific job, I decide which bullet points I'm going to use, and then I copy and paste it into like my resume that I put together, and therefore I have like a bank of all the things that I did so I don't forget, and then I can just like finesse it and massage it to fit like the specific job I'm applying for. So maybe you need a bank of more bullet points of the stuff that you did as a president. That can maybe like change this into 3 different bullet points or combine it into one, depending on like how much space and how much information you want to convey to the job posting or the hiring manager for the job posting. Otherwise, I like these all. This is cool. I think I would like to see maybe some more accomplishments and effects from each bullet point. Like what happened because you communicate between partner programs. That meant that like a renewal of a contract with sponsors for 3 semesters. Those kind of things. TESPA chapter leader, TESPA Collegiate Gaming. Wow, cool. TESPA's a big name. So making sure that that's seen is important. See, I want to see TESPA before I want to see the word general skills, kind of, and this is bolder and bigger, this is smaller. TESPA Collegiate Gaming, July. So I'm curious. I mean, you can't answer this right now, but oh no, I can figure this out. I was gonna say like, how long have you been in college for? Looks like you graduated in 20. I don't think you can hear babies screaming in the background. Hopefully not. But I can figure that out. 4 years, 5 years. Okay. Representative, task responsibilities. I almost think that this task and responsibilities isn't needed, and maybe you put representative under there. These are small things. Communicate between TESPA and my school tournament event details. Okay. Organize and host tournaments within guidelines of TESPA and my campus. Attend meetings concerning new events and upcoming events. Okay, so there's one thing that you could cross out that grammar. Attend meetings concerning new events. Or attend meetings concerning. Oh, there's a typo there too. Missing an N. Concerning new and upcoming events. So this might be a simple thing, but I think you can, because if you're just attending meetings to make sure like things communicated from TESPA happen in your college, like that might be. My impression from this is that actually it's a doesn't require much stuff to do. It's important, but it doesn't require much. You like Just communicating, being a liaison between two parties, right? However, I think you can make that sound stronger and more important. Now, how would you do that? I think you can fluff up the stuff and add importance to it. Communicate between TESPA and my school. Tournament details to ensure competitive integrity, or to stay on, to keep planning on time, to ensure stream quality, competitive integrity, like I said, those kind of things. In 10 meetings, that could be like, 10 meetings concerning new events. I wonder how that one you can like fluff up a bit too. The 10 meetings to stay up to date with new events and new and upcoming events coming down from TESPA, right? Or to stay up to date to see what kind of, for future planning for new teams that your college might be that your college might want to be a part of, to figure out, to prioritize which events you can budget for, those kind of things. I think that stuff is kind of important, that you can use to fluff up, to really show like what's the importance of this, because I think the importance of a job can be more exciting or impactful than the job you're doing, right? If I was just creating scribing for meeting notes, like that's a simple task that people can be like, oh, anyone can do that. But not everyone can do that. Like there are good meeting notes and bad meeting notes. But if I know that this is to communicate to a whole organization, like this is all the important detail, like that to me is something much more impactful and much more important than just taking meeting notes, right? Yeah, but all around, I really like your work experience and stuff. I think it's really nicely organized. So I can like, I don't care about event management. I don't care about team management. But president, let me read into this. Like, I think your resume does a really good job, and I can just skim and pick and choose what I want to look at, and then from there be like, oh, you know what, Christy, I want to dive deeper into each part of your resume, or your whole resume, because like you intrigue me now. Event production, event management, live coordinating events, event planning, stream production, and social media graphics. I don't know what's going on here. The alignment in these boxes are not consistent. That's kind of weird. Soft skills, communication. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I'd rather take out soft skills, because I think this stuff can be included in, it's already kind of included in here and kind of assumed from all this stuff. And I'd rather have this have more breathing room by getting rid of the soft skills, right? If you got rid of the soft skills, could you move TESPA chapter leader up here and made general skills smaller, and then spread this out a little bit more? I think that's one way you could do it. You know what? I should zoom in. Sorry. Maybe I'll have to edit that afterwards. It's so much easier for me to read now too. Volunteer experience. Special agent volunteer. Minecraft Mine Fair. Oh, interesting. Check in that every booth is well staffed and running well. Deliver supplies to each booth and event coordinator. Assign agents to work at different booths during shift changes. Yep. Same comments I had before. I think put your most impressive stuff first. I would say this one seems to be a more difficult task, so I'll put that first, then maybe this one, then the second bullet point. But this is good that you put in. I like it. And maybe, you know, if you need more room, you cut out one of these things. You might be able to combine this bullet point and the first bullet point and the third bullet point together, and save some room, and then just have two bullet points with, yeah. But it all depends on the job you're applying for. Oh, I have a sneeze coming. It's not coming out. Okay, cool. And then yes, I just like in your education, it's important that we know that you have it, but like it's not important. Put it at the bottom. No one cares about that anymore. Or sorry, I shouldn't say that. I'm thinking about that because like in engineering it mattered. People cared about education until a certain point. But then it was actually just clout. It was really dumb. Anyway, got a Christy has a cover letter. To Mimeg CERN as an experienced esports enthusiast, the posting on the collegiate brand ambassador with blah 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 really interested me. Okay, so now I know some more context. I'm extremely passionate about esports and e-production as a co-host on a brand new Twitch talk show where we talk about esports news every Thursday evening. I also made and managed teams for Overwatch, CS:GO, League of Legends, and an upcoming Valorant team as personal pursuits. Cool. I like this. Yeah, I kind of like that it's personal pursuits. Because that just shows that you're like a passionate individual, right? I bring a set of talents that I believe is valuable to Evil Geniuses. In the esports work study role at blah blah blah, I practiced a lot of leadership and teamwork from working at Starbucks and Zippies. Just so you know, there's a weird grammatical thing here. From working at Starbucks, I would expect from something to something else. So it might be like from working at Starbucks and Zippies to being president of my college org, like that. And way before I started any paid work, my first skills came from being a leader in a high school color guard team and band, which taught me how to guide people and work as a team. I'm extremely excited to contribute my strengths and proficiencies in management towards your team efforts. As an extroverted and easy to talk to person, my ability to build strong professional relationships has always been a valuable asset in my career path. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Christy. Okay, so the things I like about this cover letter is it's not just repeating everything on your resume. The thing I don't like about this cover letter, or that I want more of in this cover letter, is it's not helping fill in the lines, because this is like nothing about your resume. At least I don't see the connection to your resume right now. I think you have some really impressive stuff in here, in your resume, in your work experience, in your volunteer experience, in your TESPA chapter leader experience. And I wanted to hear more about that in your cover letter, actually. But instead, your cover letter is talking about things that you didn't do in your resume, and that I might see as less impressive than the stuff in your resume. So instead, I think you want to, like, it's nice to sprinkle these personal passion projects in here. And I think you could do it very, very quickly, like hint at it, right? Because again, you have to remember the resume and cover letter is not to get you a job. The resume and cover letter is to get you the interview for the job. The interview is when you're trying to convince them that like you're a fit for the organization, the job, and you're capable, and you're trying to sell yourself in getting the job. But the resume and cover letter is to get you the interview, not the job. So I want to see the cover letter talk more about your resume experience. Especially because like these are the bullet points you decided to pick to represent yourself as a brand ambassador for this this job posting. Because, and maybe it's because I didn't put this job posting and I'm not familiar with it, but I don't see how this Twitch talk show and you managing teams makes you a brand ambassador for this job. Leadership and teamwork, working at Starbucks and Zippies, like that's really cool, and I think that's really important work. I think you could have said this, and instead of talking about working at Starbucks and Zippies, you could have said talking about being a president of a game development department, or your representative for your college to TESPA. I think that would have been a lot more impactful. Um, because I also don't know how you practice leadership and teamwork at Starbucks and Zippy's because your resume doesn't say that, which is kind of fine, but I think you have stronger examples to show here. I think this sentence, I started any paid work, is kind of weird because it's almost downplaying your experiences that you're talking about here because you're like, oh, it's not paid work, so it's not legit. Oh, that's not true, and you don't need to talk about. You don't need to even like bring that up. But I think it's a cool way to put in information that you couldn't fit into your resume that you think is really important, like being part of the high school color guard team and band. Yeah, I think that's what it does well. I just don't know if it's needed here because I really do think you have good experience in your resume already that you should be talking about. But yeah, I do like how this stuff is written. But I just think you picked the wrong examples because I think you have a lot that I wanted to know more about like what this all is and like what that looked like and how that went. And you can tell me about how those things went and prove to me that you are a leader, you're good at teamwork, and you're someone that's enjoyable to talk to and that is detail oriented and professional. I think there's different options you can use to talk about that. So that's the weird thing about this cover letter for me. So I think you need to rewrite it, but I feel good about your ability to write a cover letter, I guess I should say, from this. Cool. Thank you, Christy, so much for that resume. Maybe I should put some closing statements. So my closing statements, like really good on organization, really good on figuring out what information is important and what you want to convey. And then I would say just spend a little more time crafting really important bullet points. Make sure that every single bullet point is important to the job that you're applying for, and cut the things that don't need to be there to give yourself more white space and to increase the font. Those kind of things. For your cover letter, really well written. Just make sure that this is the stuff that is where you get to fill in between the lines of your resume. You get to tease me a little bit more about the bullet points in the resume that made me interested. And then it's like, oh, like I really want to hear about like the event that she talked about in this that was in her resume, in her cover letter. And now I'm like, I need to talk to her in an interview to figure out like, oh, tell me more about this event because we want to run events. That's what this should do. So thank you so much, Christy. And hello, ARC Pawn. Arc Pawn. RC Pawn. Wanted to pop in and say hi. Thanks for looking at my resume, one of our videos. I made a lot. Oh, that's really cool. Hey, if you want to do a follow up, you can send me that resume again. I don't know who this is specifically because I think your Twitch tag is a little different. But yeah, if you want me to take another look at it, because after these two resumes, I'm empty again. So let me know. I'm glad to be helpful. And thanks for stopping by. All right, so the last resume I have is from Alec. Alex is a good old friend of mine. We did a podcast together for many, many, many episodes. I don't know, maybe like 50 or so. Those good times. I miss those times. They're fun. So again, when I go through this resume, what I want to do is quickly look through, skim through it and figure out like what stands out, what I would do looking at this resume if this came across my desk. And then after I talk about those first impressions, I want to dive in deep and try to figure out like different ways to really hone in and help make this resume better. Oh no, I don't think it's a yikes arc. It's fine. It's fine if your platform isn't all like the same on every single, or your handle is not all the same in every single platform. I think that's okay. I mean, yeah, you're not like, unless you're trying to make yourself like a really discoverable brand or something, but not a big deal. Thanks for stopping by, Pawn. Really appreciate the kind words. That helps a lot. All right, Alec. So first things first, this is 3 pages. It's not actually 3 pages. It's actually a third empty page. So whenever, and this is just a note for everyone, and I don't know if Alec is guilty of this because most people, because I've been asking for these things on Twitter, which is probably not the right way, because you can't put attachments, but always send your resume and cover letters or whatever as a PDF. Because what ends up happening is when you save it as a PDF, you control like how the formatting looks. Like if you make it in Google Doc and you send it to someone and they open it in like Microsoft Word, or if you send a Microsoft Word document and they open it up in Google Drive, you never know what's going to happen with the formatting. But with PDF, like once you save it and export it, it looks this way, right? So I'm guessing with this one, something weird happened in the conversion where you have a third blank page. If I wanted to print this out and I got a third blank page, like that's kind of weird. If I printed this out, think this was only 1 page, the second page might get lost. Oh, and if there was like an actual overflow of information onto here, like I might have lost that or might not have seen it. So important when you apply, send things in PDF, people, because that'll help you. But anyway, first things first, I think anyone that's watched these, my first gripe is it's 2 pages. Be 1 page. Second thing, formatting's clean. It's kind of boring, but that's okay, especially if you're not applying for something that's like graphic design. I'm not gonna really knock you for that, right? But to make yours stand out, when I see like 10 of these, you could add color, like Christie's. You can even find like a template resume online, right? Because again, this is like the first impression you're gonna have. You want to make sure it's a good impression, it's a clean impression. You don't want it to be like, oh, Alec, like you might forget it, right? Looks like there's a ton of work experience. I see some League of Legends. I see Golden Guardians. That's really cool. I don't know who these are. And then, there's a lot of text here. There's a lot of bullet points, qualifications and highlights, education. Okay, cool, relevant experience. So like right from the bat, I'm just like, this is a lot, and I like don't necessarily want to read it. And then what's gonna end up happening is there's no executive summary. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna look at the top thing, and if I'm not convinced from this top thing, or my skimming, I'm gonna be like, I might not read the whole resume. What my eye would go to is like, Golden Guardians. Whether I'm part of Golden Guardians or not, I'm like, that's an esports organization. Let's see what they did. Esports organization, Detroit, Michigan, event staff, summer 2019. Work temporary assignment at 2019 summer finals for LCS. Okay, that's cool, but that doesn't tell me what you did. That should be like, that's just a repeat of your responsibility here, right? Run pre-event to help unload and set up. Run booth for a pre-event. Arrived, ran, interacted. All past tense. That needs to always happen. See, involved, create, not created. Stayed, led, planned, managed. Interactive plans to promote merchandise. Okay, so this is a volunteer job where Golden Guardians probably just needed extra people. I do know that, so I think I'm trying to pretend like I would assume that with no information, but I do actually know that because I also helped him get this. This volunteer. Or actually, sorry, it wasn't volunteer. It was paid. You got like a chunk of change to help, and then I think hopefully some free swag. Okay, so like that is where I'm going. And then I'm like, what is Aetna supply orders? Okay, this is like not esports stuff. Okay, and then I would go back to League of Legends, podcast host, coach. Oh, that's cool. Okay, let's see. Blah blah blah. Read this, and I'd be like, okay. From there, I'd be like, decide whether or not I want to read the rest of your resume. I don't really have any context to this resume. I don't know what you're applying for. I don't know what you care about, what you're passionate about. So, I'm that's where I don't know where the direction of this resume is going because there's just a lot here. Okay, so my goal here is to make you look as good as possible, to bring out your true self, and cut this down. Oh, hi Jonah, how's it going? I haven't streamed in a while, and I haven't seen you in here in a while, but this is gonna be very boring to you. Although, as a person that is in a professional field, if you have any comments or questions, actually more so comments, help me out if you want on things to help improve this resume. I'm going over esports resumes, by the way. All right, so work experience. League of Legends Anonymous podcast. By the way, the podcast should be here because I created this podcast and I know that podcast is part of the name. Doesn't matter. One formatting thing I think would be important is to try to align left with some things and align right, because this is a lot of text. I don't necessarily care about the location. I don't think it's important. What's important is what you did. Podcast host and coach. Okay. Involved in weekly recordings aimed at teaching players. So that tells me a little bit about the podcast. Create social media posts to promote podcasts and interact with fans. Okay, stay knowledgeable and current in an ever-changing game. Lead and organize community weekly games. Plan and facilitate coaching sessions for players. Manage podcast setup and successful live presentation, recording, and later upload. Okay, so this was interesting because I looked a little bit into it, and I noticed some of this stuff isn't happening, right? I looked at Twitter and there weren't many social media posts or interaction with fans. I also looked at the podcast setup, and it's tricky because it's kind of was left off where I put it, and it doesn't look good. And I think some of that is just because I know context. Like some of that is because Blake might have been doing some of it, who is pretty much, I think, maybe the head runner of the show, one of the original OGs of the three that are still there. And let me zoom in on this too. Yeah, so I already know, like, this is kind of fluffy, but that's because I already know, right? And depending on the job you're applying for, some of this doesn't matter. This coaching stuff might not matter. And I don't see, again, the impact of what you did. So involved in weekly recording aimed at teaching players. Like, that's informative, but that doesn't tell me much. Like, what I'm getting here is like, okay, you kind of stay up to date in your content creator, and maybe or may not you're someone that actually has a following or not, right? So instead, I would put some stuff that's here like, hey, created a podcast or part of a podcast that live streams to this many people, that watches this many, or this big of an audience, right? Or this big of a Discord, or how many coaching sessions you've had, or what the success of the coaching sessions you've had, right? Help multiple players climb from bronze to gold, or like on average climb up like 2 divisions or 3 tiers or something like that, right? If you wanted to talk about your coaching. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. I think this is a good bullet point. Yeah. See, yeah, the problem is with this, again, it's like you're putting together all the things that you've done or all your responsibilities, so there's no focus, because honestly, being part of the Lola and doing this stuff, there's a lot of random things you're doing. So if you know what you're trying to focus on, like, hey, I want to be a content creator, you should focus on the content stuff, right? And I think just because I know the insight in this, you need to make sure the content shows that. If I look up League of Legends Anonymous podcast, and this was one of the reasons why I quit Lola, is that it wasn't something that I could put on my resume that I was like, that would show the professionalism that I wanted, because it was really a hobby thing and it was fun, but I had trouble controlling like the quality of the graphics or the quality of the content that we covered, or how consistent we were, or the growth of it, right? Because again, we weren't really focused on that. So if you really want to show that you want to prove that you know how to do social media stuff, like I would start creating really good social media posts, right? And that's kind of what I did. I started creating social media posts or small clips of our actual like 2 hour long podcast. So that's where I would start thinking about like how you could actually cater your experience to make it better for the future for the goal that you have, which I don't see a goal in this resume yet. So that's another way that's going to trim this down a lot. Got a comment, summer 2019 rather than putting actual dates. I think being vague can be helpful. Putting actual dates can be really helpful. It all depends on what the goal is. I think for this one, it's kind of misleading because it sounds like you did a lot of it. Honestly, it probably doesn't. Yeah, this is a one-time thing. That's a tricky thing. This is a one-time thing. So I don't even know what you'd put here for the date. Yeah, maybe you'd put like maybe you'd get more specific, like June 2019. Work temporary assignment, arrived pre-event to help unload, run booth for pre-event. So okay. So again, these are like if I said, "Hey, we need someone to staff the event that we're pulling." These are the 4 things that you need to be able to do, or 3 things that you need to be able to do. That's what this is. Instead, I think you need to shape yourself towards certain responsibilities or like the job that you're looking for. I think if you're talking about if you want to run live events, you need to put yourself as someone that helped run a live event. I would say something like help set up help set up multiple booths for a tailgating event for the LCS Summer Finals. Interacted with fans to help promote merchandise and Golden Guardian brand values or something like that. Yeah, this was just the one tailgate event. Maybe a weekend, 2 days, or 1 day. That one's a little tricky. So again, this is kind of tricky because it is relatively a simple thing. Just coming in there. I think I've said volunteer multiple times. It wasn't volunteer, it was paid. But this is a very simple one-time thing. So then it's like, is this worth putting on your resume? And I think for you don't have much esports experience. So therefore, you need to put it on your resume. But was it something impressive enough to get you an interview or hired? And that's the thing. Like, I think what this resume lacks is proof that you have enough work experience in esports, right? So I think that's the biggest crutch of this resume. That being said, so I guess the conclusion is go find more work, right? And maybe this stuff that's not esports related will show that you are a capable person. So let's jump into that then. NS supply, plumbing supplier distributor, order picking receiving, order picker and receiving, utilize software to verify orders and receiving, chairman of safety committee, trained and certified forklift operator. Okay, so you have a certification or you've had training that you're allowed to drive a forklift, because not everyone can drive a forklift if you're not aware. That's cool, but that is not going to get you a job or esports job, right? So that's tricky, unless you're like working in a warehouse. So that can go. Prepared orders in a timely and accurate manner for shipment. That can be related. That shows you know how to do a specific job that can be translated into esports somehow. Prevent shipping and inventory errors through verifying own work. So this is kind of weird because it's just saying like, hey, I double check my work. Independently completed daily tasks without direction or continual supervision. So this is just saying like I do my job independently. So again, I think these just feel really fluffy to me, and I think there are different ways to wordsmith this one better. I think the chairman of safety and committee, like that's really cool. And I want to know more about that. Like, what did that entail? What were those responsibilities? What did you do from that? And like, maybe this is something where you like, I put together procedures that everyone has to follow, 100 people have to follow, and therefore reduced, I don't want to say casualties, reduced, what's the word I'm looking for? Reduce things from happening. What's up? Oh yeah, reduce safety incidents. You know, uh, that's cool, and I can see that being related to a job outside of esports. Yeah, so you got to make sure that whatever bullet points you put in here, there's a reason for that in here that will relate to the specific job you're posting, right? IMS supply, contingent, blah, blah, blah. Like, as an esports person, as an engineer, this is kind of interesting to me. As an esports person, I would be like, okay, I don't care about, like, this is really fluffy. That's going to make me bored and I don't understand what it's saying, right? Potentially, as an esports person. Warehouse manager, shipping. Okay, so you're a manager here and you deal with data. That's what I'd be thinking as an esports person. Utilize IRIS, don't know what that is, to locate parts and prepare them for shipments. I kind of think I know what that is, but most hiring managers probably won't. Use Indeed to recruit. Okay, I would put Indeed.com. This is really cool. Don't know if it's related to the job you're applying for. Train new employees in system. That's cool. Responsible for timely and accurate documentation. That's cool. Supervision of warehouse employees. That's cool. Plan daily job tasks for employees. So very similar bullet points there. All right. See you, Jonah. Thanks for stopping by. And thanks for your input. It's helpful. Represent a company during customer visits. That's cool. Ability to assess and correct any issues prior to shipment. Okay. Verified to keep and kept record of incoming, outgoing shipments with accuracy and efficiency. Accuracy and efficiency is kind of fluffy. Research and present freight options to management. Conducted physical inventory, updated location of parts. Operate forklift, high-low. Okay, so there's a lot of bullet points here. And again, this is just a list of responsibilities and tasks that you have with the job. So really make sure you hone in what you want to highlight, what's going to be important for esports, and to sell yourself. Now this is just like, this reminds me of a skills. Yeah, like skills. And then you list skills with a lot of comments and stuff. And I did not realize that this is further job experience, right? First, you need a space between all of those or a bullet point or something, because this just looks like a paragraph at first. And I cannot, this is really, really hard to read. And then I would say, is this really important? If you're trying to show work experience, which is important in like a professional work environment. But again, even for that, this is really hard to read. Qualification and highlights. Trained to legally handle sensitive and confidential employee information. Interact with customers, professional manner, comply with all standards, exceptional computer skills. Teamwork, prioritize. Knows how to work with people. Dependable. Okay, so this is kind of something that might be an executive summary, but shouldn't be posted this way. To me, this is what your resume is. This is what you want to prove in your resume. And you did it quickly and eloquently versus putting it in all this information. But again, this is really, really focused on your actual resume or your resume outside of esports. So this is a really weird section that you put into, I think you should put it into a small paragraph or an executive summary or even through a cover letter. Education, you need some spacing there too. For state competition in advertising art. This is like super interesting to me, and I'm like, what? Tell me more. Game and graphic design program, like what? Like, I want to know about those things more. And it's not anywhere in your resume at the bottom. Relevant experience. So this is confusing. So like, why is it a relevant experience section and then a work experience? Like your work experience should be relevant, right? So this is really really odd. And then I don't know how this is actually relevant experience. This is like you went to a TwitchCon, you went to a PAX East, unless you volunteered there or did something there. So this is again kind of weird. And then some extracurricular stuff. Okay, so, what do I say in general about this? And I feel like I've been already very harsh on you, Alex. So I'm very sorry, but I also want you to succeed and I want you to get a job in esports because I know you care about it and you're like, I would love to work alongside you because I know you're an awesome guy and you work hard. Just doesn't you're just not coming across well on the resume. So first, get more experience, do a lot of volunteer things, be intentional about what you're doing in Lola, and figure out like how to grow in those positions, right? If you really want to grow social media, like there's ways. The Lola Twitter is not growing and it's not being posted, and there's so much more you can do with that. So if you really want to learn how to video edit and do social media stuff and social media market, or even interact with fans on social media on Twitter, I keep saying social media, but I'm really talking about Twitter. Although maybe things are happening on Instagram, I'm not really sure because there's also no links anywhere, so I can't even check out Lola. Get that experience and earn that experience yourself. There's a lot of other volunteer ways you can do things with different organizations. Go on hitmarker.com, which I'm an affiliate. Go create a new account in the description, video description. Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, gain more experience and be intentional with the experience that you're trying to gain, especially if you want to do it fast, right? If you want to get a job in esports in 5 years, like you can kind of do it slowly, but you need to get really impactful bullet points in your experience, right? And that's why I did other projects besides Lola when I was doing Lola. Yeah, really cut the stuff because you're just listing the things that you did rather than like the really important things. And I think you're just sending me a general resume. So what I also think you need to do is figure out what you actually want to do in esports. Because this resume shows no direction in that. And as a person that, if you really want to figure out what to do in esports and you don't know and you just want to get in esports, well then just pick one thing. Or pick like 5 things or 3 things and then make 3 different resumes, or like find 3 different situations where you can do that. Go find a volunteer job and be like, hey, I want to be a social media manager, and then do that and then realize you hate it. That's okay, but that's very useful information, and you'll learn things about social media that will help you in your next endeavor where you're like, hey, I want to be a content creator. Oh, I remember all this stuff, like I need to market my YouTube video on Twitter, or I need to market my Twitch stream on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok. So you're going to learn things from even those endeavors that you cut or you hated. So you got to experiment and figure out what you want to do and find those experiences, and then figure out like if you actually want to do those. And then once you do, you got to figure out like what qualifications you need, right? And then focus on those. So then you go on like hitmarker.net, or you go on, like I've even done this when there's not many esports jobs. I look at professional jobs that are outside the esports industry, or like gaming industry, or like even like the advertising industry or the entertainment industry, whatever, and just see like, hey, what is an event? What does event coordinating do? And then find those bullet points and be like, okay, I looked up event coordinator and it involved sponsorships, or it involved planning budget and schedule. I have none of that experience. Where am I going to find that experience? How am I going to go find that experience? I'm going to watch a whole bunch of YouTube videos and learn about it and see what other people have done. I'm going to talk to people and do like informational interviews with people to understand like how they do those kind of things. And then I'm going to find work and volunteer work doing those things. Or you realize, holy crap, like I've been doing this in my IMS supply job. So then you suddenly tailor your resume to be like, I know how to do this, and talk a language that esports understands to show that you know how to do those kind of things, right? So I think the big things, again, like get more experience and figure out what you want to do. And then from there, that's where your resume is suffering from. It's less of the formatting and the making a good resume. And it's more lacking experience to really talk about your resume. All right. Thanks, Alec. I'm really sorry if I like ripped on your resume too hard, but again, like I said before, I really want you to do well, especially because I know you and like I care about everyone that puts in their resume. Like I really want you guys to find your esports dream. So, thank you so much, Alec. All right. So I got like maybe 15 more minutes. I want to answer some questions. What's up, Sifu? How's it going, man? If you just jumped in, I just started doing resume reviews for people that are for the people's esports resumes. And then now I just want to chill for about 15 minutes before I have lunch. Hey, honey. Should we do lunch in like 15 minutes? We have time for one. Oh my gosh, I had follows that I totally I don't have my follower alerts on. Whoops. They're probably not here anymore because I'm a jerk. Thanks for the follow, esports unknown 71, and thanks for the follow, Quasi GG. Dude, I want to do a podcast so bad, Tifu. One, I don't have the time. Two, I don't know who to do it with. And three, it's really hard to do things just for fun for me. Like I don't want to just do a podcast for fun. I want to do a podcast that is really helpful for people, and that is, I guess, I don't know. Dude. Like, okay, yes, I have access to the players more so than other people do, but I can't just be like, hey, Demonte, let's start a podcast. Dude, actually, maybe he'd be down. I think that'd be cool. And Demonte started a podcast and that just he brought on his friends to talk about league stuff, that'd be so fun. I would love that. And I would totally manage that and organize that for him. That'd be really cool. That'd be really, really cool. But I don't know if anyone's really down to do that. They're all busy. Maybe off season. I don't know. And then it gets really awkward. Like, let's say, not saying this, I don't have any inside information on this or anything, but let's say Demonte leaves GG because he gets signed by SKT in Korea. Then it's kind of a weird situation where I'm working for Gold Guard. Oh, actually, that's not that weird. Unless I was flexing at this Golden Guardian content. Whatever. Doesn't matter. That's not weird. You're right. It's not weird. I'm just talking. Oh, crap. I didn't record this. I'm going to have to rip it from Twitch. Okay. Matthew, Mr. Acadian. That is true. That is true. You're right. It's not weird. There is no reason I. Yeah. Yeah, but the problem is time. Time is always the limiting factor, and I'm in a place in my life where I need to balance a bit more than just my selfish ambitions, or even just like my good ambitions for work, because I have family, I have sanity that I need to worry about, especially during this quarantine time. Like, oh my gosh, like taking care of my mental health is like so important right now. What am I actually doing for the org now? Oh, we can just start into like a Q&A session right now. See who's asking, what am I doing for the org right now? That's a good question. A lot of things I'm doing right now involve the player YouTube channels. So, for example, we have Peekaboo, who is our WoW competitor / streamer. That was my first YouTube project. And this guy, I manage it. So I found the editor. I figured out how we're going to do the editing at first, but luckily I found a really good editor that does the thumbnails, editing, and channel management. So I like it's totally hands off. But this was 4 months ago, first video. It's at 187K. And this is popping off. He has 33.5K subscribers. So this was like really, really good. Also, a really cool thing is why this is really important. Let me talk to you about why this is important. See this thing in the corner? Oh, you can't see it because my webcam. You see this thing in the corner that says Golden Guardians? Ah, go back. See this thing? It's an ad rotation. Depending on the size of this and how much people see it, that equals advertising dollars. So when this video gets 35K views, when this video gets 187K views, when this one gets 62K views, and he's also streaming, right? For 5 hours a day, and that ad rotation pops up for a set amount of time for a set amount of area on the stream, that equals money for advertisers. So because I'm creating this YouTube channel, that means there's more money that the organization can get from ads, which means we can do more things. So that's super, super important. And that's why I'm actually working on a profitable part of the business, which is kind of funny because it's bringing advertiser dollars. You know, so then I worked with Becca on her YouTube channel, like helping revive it a bit because she wasn't creating videos. She stopped creating videos 11 months ago. Then we started up again. Haven't found as crazy success, but I also think that there is. Oh wow, this one's doing well. That's cool. Oh, I think I know why this is doing well. What was I saying? Oh, TFT is a different space. It's dominated by two kings called Toast and Scara, and pretty much just Toast. So that's pretty much what I do. A big part of what I do. Another thing that I do is I do the social media edits. Let's see. Why'd I go to? So I still make the meme stuff. Wow, that was a slow way of doing this. Scar Toast. Never heard of them. Yeah, good one. So still doing stuff like this. This one was okay. Not really super happy with anything I put out yet. Although I was pretty happy with the previous one, which was like the Eminem song callback. But I don't think people would know it. I think that was a bad reference to pull. And also, I think Demonte doesn't have as much pull focusing on it. Like if I was able to make one of these about Closer, I think that would potentially pop off. Demonte is a little more difficult, but this one got a lot more views than the last one. I think the last one got 8K. This one has 15K sooner. So I'm involved with social. I would say I do a lot of maybe product management. I'm giving a product, whether it's social media videos, and then I'd like to make sure that it gets done, right? So I work a lot with freelancers. I do some edits. I help with the YouTube channels, and I help figure out our storylines too. I guess I'm the LCS expert on our team, which is kind of weird because I've just been watching for so long, and so I helped figure out what our storyline was for, like, hey, we should do Closer and Broken Blade because it's Closer. They're old teammates from TCL, the Turkish league, and we're playing TSM this split, and this is probably the most interesting thing that would capture more attention compared to the 100 Thieves game, where we had like storylines like, oh, it's Contracts who we benched, put into academy, and then kicked off the team or traded away from the team. I can't remember what the details were for that. Figuring out like what are the storylines, and then being that reference. But we have such a collaborative environment. It's not just like I do one thing, and I'm in, like, even like our stats graphic. Like I was helping with like figuring out how to make this more clear, how we're gonna post this. Like, are we gonna retweet this? Are we gonna put Nick's quote on the graphic? Like those kind of things. That's what I've done. But my job changes every week, every month. It's weird. All right, let's jump into another question. Jump into this question. A Chung 745 asks, "What has been the best and worst experience with group collaborations in esports?" Oh boy, this is hard because if I was in esports for long, I could say things anonymously, like if there were worst experiences. But since I've only worked with like one team full time, that's hard to talk about these things. But honestly, worst experience. I don't think I've had. Tibbers wants to play. Here, Tibbers, come here. Come on, lap. TV bear. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Yes, I love you too, Tibbers. My webcam a little bigger. See more Tibbers. Oh wait, no, you can't see much Tibbers. Oh, look at TV bear. Hi, I love you too. Yes. So what has been the best and worst experience in group collaborations in esports? Oh, now my chat's in the way. Oh my gosh. Best experience. Oh, okay. I'll say a really good experience is Media Day. That was kind of my first like product lead, whatever, where we did Media Day, where we gathered photos and assets from the players, and we had multiple stations, we had video shoots, we did so much stuff, right? Multiple photographers. It was the first Media Day that we did for Golden Guardian, or that I was a part of for Golden Guardians, and it was a huge banger. Like the assets we got were really exciting, and I would say that's one of the best experiences in a group collaboration because I felt like I did a really good job in empowering people and getting things organized for people's ideas to really work out well, right? Having to work with our art director very closely for the photo shoots and the style, then even just like being involved in like small ways, like, oh, like let me put together a mood board based off of what you said from Pinterest, and then I went with our art director, Crystal, or actually, whoa, at the time she was our art director. Now she's our creative director. So congratulations, Crystal. Wow, what was I saying? Yeah, we put together a mood board, went over it, talked with the photographers, set up meetings. So I think that was one of the best experiences that I had because I got to empower and help other people get their visions into a tangible thing. And then also the big cherry on the top was that it went really, really well. And the esports scene was like, what the heck? Like, these are crazy photos. Like, this is awesome. And then even just like working with our photographers to figure that out, social media people, like it was a effort that everyone that was working with us at the time was a part of. So that was really cool. Just have that much impact. Worst experience. Oh, okay. Actually, I can say this because I can keep it anonymous because I will talk about some volunteer experience that I've done. One of the worst experiences that I had, and it probably not the worst, I don't really remember. I haven't had that many bad experiences, but I remember I was part of a group that we were trying to do things. I was doing a lot of good videos for them, and ultimately, I saw them doing practices on social or marketing practices that I severely disagreed with. Where it was like follow for follows, getting part of communities where like, oh, we retweet all your stuff, you retweet all our stuff. We're gonna buy followers. We're gonna have bots that are liking every single one of our things, and I'm just like, oh, this is so bad. And ultimately, the reason is if we want to show we are like to sell this business or to get money, we need to show that we have followers, right? Ultimately, like it doesn't matter, like we need followers, and I'm like, okay, let's get followers. But instead we're hacking the system and getting fake followers, and the thought was like, oh, you know what, once we get the money we'll make a really great product, or we'll make a better product, and then we will get followers. I'm like, no, you're doing it backwards. So eventually that led to why I stopped working with them, because I'm like, I don't like what we're doing. Like, this doesn't sit, like, one, it doesn't sit right with me because we're kind of lying, but I don't even just ignoring the morals behind it. I really disliked that was our strategy. That our strategy was so, what I believed was backwards. So that is something that was probably my worst collaboration experience, because I was, maybe it wasn't a collaboration, but because it was such a startup-y, small, tight network of people, it did feel like a collaboration. That was not cool. I did not like that at all. Did not like that at all. That's why I quit. All right. Let's do one more question before I have to leave. Sifu, since you're in chat, or anyone else in chat, if you have a question, let me know. And if you don't, give me a question in 10 seconds. Or if I don't know you're thinking about a question, I'm just going to pick another one up here. Do, 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 do. All right, we'll just go down the list. Let's go to Noel. Noel, good friend of mine. We haven't talked in a while. We haven't played in a while. Hope you're doing well. What's something you wish you would have known before getting into esports? Oh, there's so much. Actually, I don't know if there's so much, but what do I want to talk about? What is some good wisdom to impart? Hmm. Like, I'm thinking of all the things that like might help people that are watching this when I upload it onto YouTube, or the people that are live. Like, what is useful things to know before getting into esports? I think, uh, hmm, I think this is important for people. It's not exactly what the question is asking, but I think something that, what gave me my big push is that at one point I was like, I'm gonna get a job in esports. Like, it's happening. I am good enough. It's going to happen. And that's what pushed me to keep going, because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get a job in esports. It's gonna happen in 6 months. It didn't happen in 6 months. It took like a year, over a year, when I was like really like confident. But if I knew, if you know someone that's trying to get in esports, that like, I will have a job in esports, and I will get a job in esports. I just need to put in the reps. I think doubt is such a huge thing from preventing people from achieving what they're trying to achieve. So if I knew that I was going to get in esports, which I had the audacity to know that I would get into esports, like, that changes everything. So if you talk to someone and they give you the insight that like you're good, then it's just like, now I just have to be patient and just continue doing what I'm doing, and eventually I will get into esports. It's just like, how long will it take? That's the big question. So if you're actually able to know that you're good enough to be in esports, that changes the game. And what helped me realize that I was going to get into esports was talking to someone, Weldon Green, that said like, wow, you're really good at this. And then talking to Travis and being like, wow, you're really good at this. So I'm like, I got two very notable people in the industry that said like, they vouch for me, that they know I can do it. That's what got me into esports. Like, that's a huge part of what got me into esports. It's kind of that's what the question is asking, but I think if you're able, like, again, to apply this to the people that are watching, like, that is huge. That was huge for me in my launch into getting into esports. Now, should I answer in a different way? Oops. I think a big thing that I wish I had known before getting into esports is that like getting into esports doesn't solve all my problems. Like, yeah, it's my dream job, but doesn't mean that like every day is amazing and sunshine and rainbows, right? It's still hard work. I still can get lazy and feel bad at work because of that laziness. Like every day is not just like we get to play. A lot of days are like that though, where I get to play. Um, but yeah, I think it's really important to know that like even though you have this goal, like is that what's going to bring you happiness? And I think if we continue to strive for things that we don't have to find happiness, that mindset just continues to be like the more and more I get, I'm still not happy. You won't be happy. Yeah, if you're not able to be content with your current situation, you won't be necessarily content from a future situation. That's what I think. So a big thing again to summarize that is like a lot of what I thought was like I'll be happy once I'm in esports, and I'm happier, but I'm happy because I have my wife and my family, that I'm in the situation that I'm in, that I have my faith, that I have the friends that I have. Like those things that are what make me happy. And working in esports gives me a lot more quality of life. That I'm doing something passionate. Like I realize that also, if I'm working in esports and I'm not passionate about it, I'm gonna be miserable at work. I don't have to work in esports. I realize I really don't have to. I don't have to work in gaming, but I had to find a job that I'm passionate. Not passionate about. That I care about and that I feel like I'm having a effect. I'm making the world a better place. I'm doing something to make people happy. Like that's what's more important. And luckily, something esports makes me happy, and esports makes a lot of other people happy. But if I'm doing esports work that I feel like is not moving the needle, that I'm not gonna be happy. I'm not gonna be fulfilled. Okay, cool. I think I'm gonna end the stream there. Thank you so much for all those that have tuned in, for people that are watching this VOD, the YouTube video. Let me know what you think. I kind of want to do these streams more often. All right. Thanks. Bye.